process to success is always just really more so about adaptability. It's about always changing, always making adjustments, always seeing what's going on and making the adjustments that you need to in order to put yourself in the highest possible position to win at the highest level possible based upon, what's going on.
Real business owner.
Whatever your situation is currently is not your forever situation.
That's really what real business owners is, man. Like, we don't care where you come from, where are you going?
Our goal and our job is to reduce the mistakes that you have to make or the money that you have to lose.
You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, don't give up.
You learn, adjust, and continue to move forward. Welcome back to the Real Business Owners Podcast with myself, Trevor Cowley. Kel's enjoying a family trip in Hawaii, and I'm leaving tonight to Antigua. So you guys are going to get a solo from me, this week, and then you're going to get a solo from Kel coming up here, I believe, next week as well. So kind of divide and conquer type situation here. Guys, I wanted to, cover kind of the topic of success just in general, and just highlight a few things about it, because what we see on social media or what we see out in the world is usually just a result of somebody that's done a massive amount of work over an extended period of time, and they've been consistent with it. And you're seeing the result, which is usually pretty, but the process of success is ugly. And sometimes we're going through the process, so to speak, and it just doesn't feel like we're making progress. It feels like that we should be further along than where we're at. And we start critiquing, judging, and criticizing ourselves. And the issue with that is if you start believing that you should be further along in the process than where you're at, you could start growing resentment towards the process because it's not bearing the fruit that you think that you deserve. I want to highlight some things in regards to the process and what that looks like and how ugly it truly is, so that you could understand that you're probably not doing anything wrong. You just either haven't done it long enough, and you're just literally going through what you have to go through in order to become the individual that you need to become in order to get the result that you're trying to obtain. And so let's look at the process of success. I mean, you could look at the Kobe Bryants of the world that woke up at 4:30 every single morning in order to put himself in a situation to create separation, right? If you want to compete with the best, that means you have to at least be doing what they're doing, if not more than what they're doing. It's unreasonable to expect an expectation and look at an individual, put them on a pedestal and say, I want that, but not really actually dive into what they're doing in order to obtain that type of result, what type of time that they had to put in, what type of energy and effort, what sacrifices were really made in order to get what they've got that you say it is that you want. Because once you understand what the process looks like, you might not want the actual result that you believe that you want, because it's going to require sacrifices that maybe you're just not willing to make. You can't sleep in the morning, not exercise, half-ass it when you show up to the office or show up, in your business and expect, amazing results when there's individuals out there that you are competing against that will wake up early. They will sacrifice their sleep. They will risk their hard-earned money, maybe more so than what you're willing to risk. They will have sleepless nights if that's what it takes in order to get the result. So there's always a give and take. There's a price that has to be paid. You don't receive without giving, right? So if you want to receive love, you have to give love in order to receive it. If you want to start a business and have this business pay you a bunch of money, you have to give the business money, and you have to put money out into the marketplace in order to receive, right? So there's always a give and take. And the real question is understanding what it is that you truly want. What's the result that you desire? Because in all reality, usually it's an emotion. It's a feeling that we desire, a feeling of success, a feeling of wholeness, a feeling of worthiness, a feeling of peace and harmony, right? Like if we have a lot of money, we believe that we're going to find harmony, we're going to find peace, we're going to, feel whole. That's why we started the journey, because maybe growing up we had less than, or, the struggles that we're familiar with are purely financial. So we believe as long as we plug that hole, everything else will fix itself. But when you actually start chasing success or, a certain level financially, there's going to be issues along the way that you're going to have to address, right? So the fact that you want X result means you have to go through X process, and X process is going to require you to do these things. And emotionally, you're not going to want to do those things, half the time, like period. The thing that stops people from getting the result they want more often than not is emotions. Right? Logically, is this going to do the thing that I want it to do? And is it going to create the individual that I want to become that will get the result, again, that I desire? So let's look at a couple things. Somebody that wants to become a fighter, whether it's in a UFC or boxing or whatever it is. Let's use, Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather or whoever, some of the greats, right? In order to compete with them and have what they have, that means you would have to go through what they've gone through, which is, probably many, many days in the gym, not getting paid anything, putting in a massive amount of work with zero guarantee, and doing that for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Are you willing to actually show up and invest time, money, and energy into something that you're getting zero back out of immediately, right? Like for me, I know, I wouldn't want to go down that route. I wouldn't want to have to be a fighter and have to train for 5 or 7 years to give myself even the opportunity to potentially make, $8,000 in my first UFC fight. That would require you to work, a job on the side and have a full-time, basically fighting career, because you have to simulate the process of what a fighter does every single day in order to become a fighter while you're still trying to hold it down financially. So this means, for me, business-wise was the route, because for me, it means, well, if I put X amount in and I work X amount of hours, I can receive something back within, maybe 1 or 2 years. I can shorten that gap in order for the result that I desire, or starting to see the result that I desire, right? Like it's almost like going out there and saying, hey, I want to run 100 miles. Cool. It sounds cool until you're 40 miles deep. Like saying that you want to be worth millions of dollars sounds cool until you're 5 years deep in the process, and it feels like that you're really not, making any headway. It feels like that you're losing the battle. Like if we're in the middle of a fight, you're still going to have to get punched in the face, even though you might be winning that round. You're still taking your licks. It might not feel like that you're winning while you're winning. And a lot of you rely so heavily on emotion, and because the emotion doesn't feel like that you're winning, you start second guessing, you start doubting, you start resenting your business, you start resenting the process, you start expecting a result that you haven't earned yet. Everything that you're currently facing, or whatever it is that you're currently going through, somebody else has gone through it. Somebody else has overcame that. The question is are you utilizing the energy that you do have, the little energy that you do have, in order to stay frustrated and justify your frustrations because that shouldn't have happened, or that employee shouldn't have done that, or this or that, or it doesn't matter what the situation or the circumstance is. Utilize your energy in a way that actually fixes the problem versus keeping the problem but justifying it with frustration. That's going to take energy away from you, and that energy could be used to create a solution. Right now, a lot of people are concerned about, where the market's going. Is there a recession? Is there this? Is it? Look, the market is the market, and the market speaks, right? And the market gives you information and it gives you data. There was an individual that, I was messaging with, I think it was just yesterday, talking about, hey, man, we've had contracts out for months and months and months, and work's been pretty steady. And we still have somewhat steady work, but we're not getting as many signed contracts coming back as we were, right? So what do I do to kind of backlog it, right? This is the ebb and flows of business. Like you're going to have ups and downs, just like the tide has high tide, has low tide, right? We have, daytime, we have nighttime. Like everything will balance itself out. And really what you should be doing when it's high tide and you're eating well is you should be insulating yourself. So when things kind of, even back out or come down a little bit, that you're well insulated and that you're not concerned, right? You're putting yourself in a situation where you're not going to let the external situation of what's going on in a marketplace control exactly how you operate and what you're doing in terms of your emotional state, because most of us making decisions emotionally are going to let, a financial situation affect us emotionally if we weren't prepared, and then we're going to make bad decisions from there moving forward out of an emotional state. And so what could you do to put yourself in a situation where you're constantly making decisions that are logical, that fits with what you're trying to accomplish and also fits with what the current market states, right? And so, in this situation, what do I need to do to backlog it? Look, if I own a gas station across the street from another gas station and I'm pricing my gas at $1 more per gallon, I'm probably not going to get as much business as the guy across the street. And there's two ways to go about it. Either you're okay with that and you're okay when somebody pulls in just maybe not looking at prices just to fill up so that they can hit the road again, getting far less customers but making more per customer than the guy across the street. Or would you rather have way more customers and make just less than the other guy across the street that's charging more, again, $1 more per gallon? And so you have to take a look at your current situation, and every business is different, right? Every business is going to be affected differently based upon, what a market does. There's things that have to happen in the process to becoming successful that, again, aren't pretty. Letting people go, firing people, creating space so that you can insulate yourself from whatever the market is doing. It could be shifting your price points by calling people back that didn't sign the contract, asking them, what their current budget is, what their budget was when you actually sent out the bid. You could decide to alter your prices to what the market is stating they're willing to pay for, or what your competitors are. There's different ways to go about it, but the process to success is always just really more so about adaptability. It's about always changing, always making adjustments, always seeing what's going on and making the adjustments that you need to in order to put yourself in the highest possible position to win at the highest level possible based upon, what's going on. The fact is you need to fortify your mind and make sure that you're doing everything that you can to ensure that you're mentally disciplined, to ensure that you're going to be resilient, because there will be external things happen in business over a 5-year, 7-year, 8-year, 10-year period. And if you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're mentally strong enough, business will come in. It'll take you out. It'll find you at your weakest moment. It'll make you doubt what it is that you're doing. It'll make you want to quit and give up, even though you might be making inch by inch progressions versus yard by yard, right? Like we want to take chunks out of the process rather than just being okay with, moving an inch forward, an inch forward. Did you do everything that you could today to become the best version of yourself? And that better version of you will show up a little bit better in your business, show up a little bit better in your home, show up a little bit better mentally, emotionally, in all aspects. Now, if you're going through the process of success, or the process that you need to go through in order to get the result that you want, let's look at a processing plant. When you come in, there's going to be a section that's not so pretty, right? Where they throw a bunch of stuff into a machine or whatever it is, and it's just all messy. It doesn't look like that it's going to be anything pretty when you start at the very beginning. And you walk it through the process where it's getting crushed, or it's getting molded, or it's getting heated, or it's getting whatever it is that processing plant is actually processing. If it's a meat processing plant, it's probably really ugly, right? There's stuff all up, blood everywhere, whatever. And it goes through the processes, right? And let's call it year 1 in business, year 2, year 3, year 4. It could be process 1. breaking down the meat. Process 2, putting it into this machine. Process 3, putting it across that conveyor belt. Process 4, putting it back into this machine. Process 5, package it. Process 6, it pops out packaged and it needs to go on a shipping truck. You're going through your own processing plant right now in order to become successful in life and in business. And throughout that process, it's not going to be pretty until you get to the end of it and that you're fully packaged and you're ready to be shipped off. And so I want you to understand, and I want you to feel encouraged that success is ugly. It's not going to feel like that you're winning while you're winning. If you cannot obviously see that you're outdoing more people than you're not, then you're not honoring the result that you're trying to receive. Are you in alignment with the result? If you say that you want to be a good husband, are you in alignment with the things that a good husband does? If you say that you want to be successful in business, are you in alignment with the things that successful people in business do? If you want to be healthy and fight and fit physically, are you in alignment with the things, the process that it would take in order to expect that type of result? So it's really an alignment issue. And as long as you're doing everything that you can, you show up every single day, regardless of the emotion that you're feeling, regardless of wanting to quit and give up, but you're laying down a solid day's worth of work, you're going to get there. Time is either your best friend or your worst enemy. And either you're doing what it takes or you're not. There's not an in between. And so audit yourself, audit the decisions that you're making, audit your daily actions and the habits that you have, and ask yourself, when I become a student of inevitability, where is this taking me? Where is this decision going to lead me? Is it going to be positive in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? When I was a drug addict, really that's what woke me up. I became a student of inevitability. And, I looked at an individual that was like 40 years old and I said, if I don't make a change, then that's going to be me. I was staring at the future result of the decisions that I was currently making. And so if you look at the future result of the current decisions that you're making, do they align with the outcome that you want? And if not, you're setting yourself up for massive, massive failure, massive depression. Make sure that you're realistic when it comes to the actual inputs that it will require for you to get the output that you want or the result that you want. We can't expect six-pack abs and there's a guy over here, hitting 100 sit-ups every single day without fail, but we're just not willing to do that. If you're not willing to do that, don't expect that type of a result. If you're not expecting, pain, suffering, wanting to quit and give up, going into the process of trying to become a millionaire, then you're going to be in for a rude awakening. This is 1,000%. It's all a mental game. Every single day you will be dealt a problem or an issue, something that you're going to have to overcome. And more often than not, that thing that you're going to have to overcome is yourself, is your own negative thoughts, your own analyzation of where you think that you should be in the process versus where you are. And then getting a resentment towards your business or towards the process. When you commit to the actual process and say, I know if I do 100 crunches every single day, that the result will just happen by default. It will be there. It's not if, it's just a matter of when. Will you feel like doing that every single day going into it? Obviously, we're logical enough to know that going into something like that, it's impossible to feel like that's something that we're going to want to do every single day. But the question is do you want the result more than you hate the process? That's the question. If you're unhealthy and you're out of shape and it bothers you, but it doesn't bother you enough to actually do something about it, then you don't care about the actual result as much as you think that you do. And so let's look internally. What do we want to provide for ourselves? How do we want to feel in our bodies and in our minds? How do we want our life to turn out? How do we want to show up in our family? How do we want to show up as a spouse? How do we get the financial rewards that we say that we want? Could we do all of the things that the old version of you used to do and just add a couple positives and expect an amazing result? That's foolish. We have to get rid of the things that are no longer serving you and add a few things that you're committed to over an extended period of time that would create the outcome that you desire. You know, when I said I was going to do 1,000 days or 2-a-days for 1,000 days straight and read, 10 pages every single day, I knew going into that there were going to be days where I'm tired, that I'm exhausted, that I feel sick, that I have headaches. Like over 1,000 days, who's foolish enough to believe that they're not going to have to overcome some difficulties on that journey? That process might end up being ugly when you hit the halfway mark. You know, when you start something, you're initially motivated. That's cool. Hey, I want to run 100 miles. Cool. Sounds cool. Mile 1, you're hyped. Mile 10, you're hyped. Mile 20. Then reality sets in. Who are you when the pain sets in? How do you respond when you no longer want to do that thing that you're supposed to do in order to get the result that you want? And if you're not putting yourself in situations where you're testing your mental fortitude, when you get put in that situation and it's unforeseen and unexpected in business, you will be taken out. This is why it's so important to be mentally fit. And how do you become mentally fit? You utilize the physical body in order to get to the brain. When the body wants to break down and the body's sending signals to the brain saying, quit and give up, we can't take another step, you take another step. You override that emotion with logic saying, I could take one more step. I could take one more step. And if the answer to the question is yes to can I take one more step, then you need to take one more step. If you feel like quitting and giving up, give it 6 months. Continue to move forward. Do not make a life-altering decision when you're at a low place. Now, if you're at a high place and you're feeling good and you're like, I just don't really want to do it anymore, that's a lot different. It's a lot different. The worst decisions that have ever been made has been made when somebody is at a low point. When they feel like that they want to quit and give up, they listen to it. But if you are showing up and you feel good and you realize, I'm just getting punched in the face, this is just another problem. And anytime I've ever faced any problems, when I created a solution, I ended up better for it. So what are the problems that you have in your life right now? Is it health problems? Is it, mental fortitude problems? Is it depressed problems? Is it, financial problems? Like whatever the problems are, what are the solutions? What is it that you can change today that logically would state, I will be a better person next week, next month, next year if I make this decision and I commit to it and I'm consistent with it? So I challenge you to disregard emotion and bring in logic and make sure that it's in alignment with the result that you're trying to receive. And if it is, cool. Keep doing what you got to do. Keep showing up when you don't feel like showing up. This is the price that everybody's had to pay. We can't expect that Kobe Bryant wanted to wake up at 4:30 every single morning, that he felt great, that he didn't, ever have a stomach bug, or that he didn't ever have a headache, or that he didn't ever have 4 hours of sleep. Like who are we kidding? We haven't earned the result that we're frustrated about not getting yet. So quit being frustrated and start focusing more on the process. Continue to recommit to the things that you know you need to do that, one, will serve you, and two, will align with the result that you say that you want. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know it's hard. It gets frustrating. Business has that effect on a lot of life, has that effect on a lot of people. But, at the end of the day, it's more about a feeling or an emotion that we're trying to chase. We want to feel worthy. We want to feel fulfilled. We want to be happy. If I told you I'd give you $100 million, but you're going to be the most miserable person on the planet, You probably wouldn't make that exchange. But if I told you I'd give you $1 million and you could be the happiest person on the planet, you'd probably choose the $1 million and be the happiest versus the 100 million and be the most depressed. And so how you feel and how you show up in this world does matter. And how you show up in the world affects how you feel. And how you feel affects your thoughts. And your thoughts affect your actions. Your actions affect, the actions that you take, and the actions you take affect the result that you get in life, right? And so all of these, start with one thing and one thing only, with how you feel. So are you doing things that honor the human design that we know if we hydrate, if we get sleep, if we get sun, if we eat good, if we move our body, like all of that we know logically will make us feel better. And if we feel better, we'll act better. If we act better, we get better results. If we get better results, we're going to feel a little bit happier, a little bit more fulfilled. We're going to be very content because the process is producing progress. And when the process produces progress, we want to live in the process more. You just are in the process and you don't feel like you're making progress, so you don't want to be in the process anymore. That's what makes you want to quit and give up. So understand that in the process, it's not going to feel good. You're going to want to quit and give up. That's completely normal. You're not crazy. But will you stay the course? Will you make a decision that doesn't match the emotion? And if you can make decisions that don't match how you feel, you're going to do well. You're going to do great in life. Because more often than not, we're not going to feel like showing up. We're not going to feel like addressing that problem. We're not going to feel like laying off that employee. We're not going to feel like having that difficult conversation. We're not going to feel like waking up early. We're not going to feel like going to the gym. We're not going to feel like we want to open up a book and read when we can just sit back and relax. But will you? Those are the separators. Individuals that honor the process regardless of the emotional state that they're in. Guys, I hope this helped. I hope you're kicking ass. I hope you're taking care of yourself. We're always here for you. Guys, I hope to see you in Texas. We're super excited about the event. RBOlive.com. Go buy a ticket. Let your bro give you a hug. I'm a hugger when it comes down to it. A lot of people in the mastermind didn't expect that, but I talk big on the mic. But at the end of the day, I love people. I love hugging people. I love, making sure you feel seen and heard. But at the exact same time, making sure that I'm not singing you sweet lullabies that won't get you the result that you want. Right? The society's going to tell you you're good enough just the way you are when you're not. We're all built unperfect, right? And our job here is to find the best version of ourselves and mold that individual. And so part of that is attending events, surrounding yourself with individuals that are on a same mission of becoming a better version of themselves. Aligning yourself with individuals that are driven, that also feel alone in the process. These are all very important pieces on the path to success. And so, these are things that we've lived by, principles that we've honored, and it created a result that at one point, 10 years ago I couldn't even dream of. So there is a method to all this madness, and it does work. You just have to work it for a long enough period of time and be patient enough in order for the result to finally catch up to the work and the output that you've put out there. So guys, love you, care about you, appreciate you. Keep kicking ass, taking names. Make sure you're rating, reviewing, sharing our podcasts. Other than that, guys, keep kicking ass. We'll see you next week.